News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. There's your closing bell for this Thursday on Wall Street, where the cooling of geopolitical tensions, a rally in big tech, and some solid economic data fueled gains in stocks. We do bring you the closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 gained 38 points. NASDAQ gained 211 points. The Dow is up 307 points. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.25%. The 2-year yield at 3.61%. And Intel shares are sliding now down more than 5% as its first quarter sales forecast missed estimates. Intel's lackluster forecast for the current quarter was caused by supply shortages, making it harder to meet customer demand. President Trump is suing J.P. Morgan Chase and its chief executive officer, Jamie Dimon, for at least $5 billion over allegations that the lender stopped offering Trump banking services for political reasons. Now, back in February, Dimon denied allegations of debanking.
We don't debank people because of political, religious affiliations. The rules and the requirements are so onerous, and it does cause people to be debanked who, in my opinion, should not be debanked.
J.P. Morgan denied rejecting business on ideological grounds. EU lawmakers now expected to vote on ratifying the bloc's trade deal with the U.S. now that President Trump has walked back his latest threat to impose tariffs on European allies. The deal Trump struck with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte paves the way for NATO to beef up security in the Arctic region. Secretary General Rutte.
We discussed how can we protect Greenland, how can we protect the wider Arctic region. And again, I think President Trump was the one who reinvigorated NATO at the summit in The Hague with the famous 5%.
The issue of sovereignty was not on the table. NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte speaking with Bloomberg at the World Economic Forum in Davos. President Trump's pivot on Greenland has left many European allies questioning whether the U.S. can be trusted. Energy Secretary Chris Wright says they should not need to worry.
I think the rhetoric or the speculation was so over the top. It's going to be the end of NATO. The U.S. military is going to invade Greenland. These were never on the table.
Secretary Wright says he'll be in Venezuela in the next few weeks, meeting with government officials and oil companies, and that the U.S. will not provide security guarantees to those oil majors.
I'll go down to meet with government officials and look at the existing oil facilities down there. We will definitely see a number of American oil and gas companies going down as well and investigating opportunities on the ground.
Wright spoke to Bloomberg Surveillance on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky took a last-minute trip to the World Economic Forum in Davos, where he tore into Europe for its apparent lack of willingness to stop Russian President Vladimir Putin, now 4 years into the war.
Europe must do more so its sanctions block enemies as effectively as American sanctions. Why is that important? Because if Europe is not seen as a global force, if its actions don't scare bad actors, then Europe will always be reacting.
Zelensky accused European allies of lacking the will to act as a real global power. Argentinian President Javier Milei defended his country's economic ties with China, saying he really doesn't have a lot of choice.
And the way we see it, China is a great trading partner. It means a lot of opportunities for us to expand markets. So that is not any source of conflict.
Milei sat down with Bloomberg editor-in-chief John Micklethwaite on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum. Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan criticized President Trump's proposal to impose a cap on credit card interest rates, saying it would slow consumer spending and make credit less available.
If you actually make this a policy, it can reallocate credit. That will slow down spending. It will slow down credit availability, and that might not be what you're trying to achieve. So can you do something on a go-forward basis, on unlimited things?
Now, Bank of America and Citigroup are reportedly trying to figure out how they can do that, or at least come close to it. Sources tell Bloomberg each bank is considering offering cards with a 10% interest rate as one potential solution. SpaceX has lined up 4 banks to lead its IPO, according to the Financial Times, as Elon Musk's rocket and satellite firm moves forward with plans for the biggest ever listing. And Musk says Tesla will likely be selling Optimus robots to the public by the end of next year. Former special counsel Jack Smith testified before the House Judiciary Committee, his first public testimony about his investigations into President Trump's actions after the 2020 election. The committee is investigating what it calls politically motivated prosecutions of the president, but Smith stood by his decisions.
President Trump was charged because the evidence established that he willfully broke the law, the very laws he took an oath to uphold. Rather than accept his defeat in the 2020 election, President Trump engaged in a criminal scheme to overturn the results and prevent the lawful transfer of power.
Smith warned Americans to not take the rule of law for granted. Millions of Americans from New Mexico to the Carolinas are bracing for a potentially catastrophic ice storm that could knock out power for days. An estimated 100 million people are under some type of winter weather watch, warning, or advisory ahead of this storm. It's expected to start on Friday and make its way across the country through the weekend. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. This is Bloomberg.